Ok, muito bom dia, boa tarde, muito boa noite, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, dear brother Feliberto.
Good evening.
We are very happy to have you here, and thank you so much for your acceptance. And actually, we are very happy because we decided to talk about one of the main problems in Southern Africa. And basing on your article here in the network entitled The Culture of Xenophobia in Southern Africa. First of all, dear brother Feliberto, can you just make a kind of the difference between xenophobia and racism? Because in your first paragraph, you dealt with the racism and xenophobia. First of all, what is the difference between the two of these terms?
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Paixão Cachito. We have first of all to understand as Franz Fanon says, racism is a culture, and xenophobia is also a culture. Racism is a concept which is related to race, and Leopold Sédar Senghor would say, racism is a culture of death, which unfortunately human beings had brought, and they conceptualized it in terms of difference. That's why later on the concept of negritude came up. And the xenophobia is also a culture of death. It's a culture of death which is related to this pathological view of seeing people of other culture, of other color, as hell. And Jean-Paul Sartre here plays a fundamental role of seeing people as those who are really acting against us because, like, oh, we are black and they are white, or we are blacks and they are blacks, but coming from different places. This is xenophobia. But I wrote in my article, The Culture of Xenophobia, but actually I was now reflecting, and I am planning of writing something else, Afrophobia, and not the xenophobia.
What do you mean by that?
By Afrophobia, I mean what South African people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a we call it in Portuguese, fuga, epistemological fuga in this concept. Because what I realized that South African are not killing Indians, are not killing whites. They are only killing black Africans. If you are killing black Africans, I think the war or the disease that is a self-denial is not actually xenophobia, it's Afrophobia. And I am planning to write it next time to clarify what's the difference between Afrophobia and xenophobia. But for now, this one I wrote it xenophobia because it's the concept that many of us, we know. It is a common concept, but that is not actually what is happening in South Africa.
Yeah, I think here in your second paragraph, you are saying that what's wrong, my fellow brother and sister? Is it this question very important for you?
For me, this question is very important because it deals with the person, you know. It is a personal question. I have realized that, unfortunately, colonialism really damaged us deeply. Up until now, maybe now in this concept of South Africa, the consequences of apartheid is still in the mind of many South African people. And for us, coming from different places, also the consequence of colonialism is still in the mind of many people. Then this question for me is a question that pinpoints to the roots of the problem. So that human beings, South African or not South African, may understand if really there is a problem. The problem is clear. I just made the question, but the problem is clear. The problem is that we are still led by the colonial master. That's why I asked if there is really a problem, my brother or my sister.
And you believe that some Southern African people are wounded by their past?
Yeah, that is obvious. That is obvious. South African are wounded. South African are wounded because, and sorry for the word that I will use now.
Sorry to cut. Is it universal, or would like to just to say some
South Africans?
What do you think about that?
No, as allow me then to quote the Katangole here now, who says that all whites are racist. All white people are racist. Whether I want or not, that is a fact. But some, they manifest more than others.
Yeah.
Therefore, I conclude from what he said and what I have experienced, it is a bit heavy, but allow me to say so. We find this DNA of xenophobia, or now the new concept that I will just develop, Afrophobia, in the blood of South African people.
And what could be the reason behind all this kind of...
The reason behind is that we are wounded people. Apartheid, the system, the political structure of apartheid damaged our beings in such a way that we are not even able to transcend from the wounds that were caused by white people, in this context of South African, and we canalize it, or we channel now to black people. Because the colonial master, they are now cutting the cake at the table, laughing at us. Because they say that we won the battle. Because now we are the ones actually self-denying our own brother and our sister. We are, unfortunately, wounded people.
And now, just allow me here. Here in the third paragraph, you speak about the force, this vital force of life. So I think this force, vital of life, is very important for us as African. But can you tell me the link between this vital force and this culture of xenophobia?
Okay. I was wondering how irrational some people are who are considered Africans, who some, like there is an Angolan Afro activist says South Africans are deeply rooted in their culture. If they are deeply rooted in their culture, they should understand the meaning of Ubuntu. And in the concept of Ubuntu, I am therefore we are, as also John Beatty and some other African theologians or sociologists developed, the concept of life is fundamental. And we can't understand the human life outside of this framework of vital force. It is the dynamic which leads us to be what we are. That's why Senghor says we act as African from ethical point of view because of this vital force, vita forza. It's very important. Then I don't understand how, if we say that vital force is very important for us because we should generate life, not only biological life, but for the mere fact of seeing you as my brother, as my sister, I have to generate life. And why am I killing my brother and my sister? Why am I afraid of my brother and my sister? Did the past wound me? If yes, why I do not accept to be healed by the presence of this community, or this palaver aspect of life? So the concept of life is very important. We are taking it for granted. We don't want to be healed because we want this colonial master to actually enjoy eating the cake of Africans because now we lost the bottle.
Yeah, I can see from your article that you are very strong toward, white people. Just to mention one of your phrases here, you are saying that some blacks are not comfortable with other blacks. Mutandis, some white do not feel comfortable with some blacks, but black do not trust white. What do you mean by that, Felipe?
Yeah, there is a system in Africa, and Africa is not developing as it was supposed to be because of the way colonialists, the colonial masters, impinged their own structure, their own idea. Now, just let me give an example. When I walk in town, when I go via Sobantu, if I meet a black person coming and to cross me on my way, I feel uncomfortable. When I'm alone, I feel, hey, maybe want to steal or want to kill me, another black. But when I'm alone in my way and I see a white person, I don't feel uncomfortable. I don't know why. It's something natural that I say, it's one. I don't feel uncomfortable. Maybe we'll do something. And I was reflecting, why does it happen? Why am I afraid of another black person? And white, actually some of them, if not all, they feel even comfortable because they're afraid of me as black.
Mm-hmm.
They see me as that person. They see me as evil because there's also what some concept in the Bible is portrayed. The black people is connected with this evil. But for me as black, I enjoy to be with the white, for example, because I admire white people. So that's why I wrote in this article, some blacks are not comfortable with other blacks, but they're comfortable with the white.
Mm-hmm.
White people are not comfortable with the blacks.
Yeah.
They are afraid of black people, and we don't know. It's something in our conscience that we have to change and to understand the why. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you so much, Felibert. And there is also here a question. Is violence the best solution? But before you answer to this question, Felibert, I heard that the reason behind xenophobia here in Southern Africa is because the people are taking their job, they are taking their wife. I don't know what you think about that, because it's what I heard, that the reason behind these two facts, the main facts.
Thank you. That is, I say, that is a unreasonable way of thinking. I can't claim that I will burn a person, I will kill a foreigner, African foreigner, or foreigner nationals, because they're taking the job of some other South African people. So some South African people are lazy people, to say the truth. Meaning that some of them, they don't want to sell things outside, some of them. Because once they sell, they think that they're still living the system of apartheid. And then they're relaxed. They enjoy life. Some of them, they're relaxed. They don't act. And the foreigner people, some of them, they come and they do their jobs. And then as the South Africans, sometimes they're not able to assume that, okay, we are the ones somehow the cause of our own misfortune, then we project to others. And this poor men from Mozambique, this poor men from Nigeria, who have been killed, for example, and maybe some of them, they are innocent people. And they claim sometimes they are selling drugs. No, not every Nigerians, Mozambicans, and so on and so forth, they're selling drugs. No. Then violence is not the way. Mm-hmm. Violence is not the way to do justice, you know. That's why I don't actually concur with this understanding of taking job, because during apartheid, many South African people, they went to Zambia, to Namibia, they went to Angola. We have a case in Angola, South African, they were there. We welcomed them. We didn't even kill them to say you are foreigners, then we will kill you. No. Now, because some of them, they think that they have reached the level of autonomy. They have forgot the past, that they were helped. And now they use the word taking jobs, drugs, and so on to justify their irrational way of doing things. No, that's not fair.
Okay, Felibert, following your point of view, I don't know, don't you think that among us black people, there is a lack of, do you think that there is a lack of trust among us black people? Because here, one of your sentences saying that xenophobia proves that there is no trust among black people. And myself, I was wondering if there is kind of a gap between among us black people.
Yeah, that is true. I think we don't trust each other, you know. But I insist. That's why I am a bit Afrocentric, and allow me to quote Caliph Hassan, the one of the founders of Afrocentricity, who says, unfortunately, some Africans, they really they are, we call it assimilado, mm-hmm. You know, they are brainwashed, to use this English word. So the colonial masters, they were strong because some of them they convinced us. They colonized our parents. They want to colonize us again. And some of us, because we have been washed, and we see black people as objects. Then we fear black people. Instead of seeing you, Paixão Kashito, as my brother, and that I can apply this word Ubuntu. Or in Portuguese we say, in Angola we used to say Onjango, as my brother and my sister to work together in terms of solidarity, what Kwame Nkrumah used to say, what Samora Machel, Savimbi, Agustin Neto used to say. Now we kill each other because don't trust each other, you know. We see black people as hell. We apply the philosophers of Jean Paul Sartre in our own context as Africans. And instead of being in solidarity, instead of having this sense of family, of living together, we scatter because we don't trust each other.
So, and here we have our last question, Philibert Juliana Dumbo. Will it stop? Do you think that this kind of treatment will stop or will continue?
Well, the way I see things, because of political power and so on, it is already part of the culture. That's why I wrote there. It is.
So are you saying that xenophobia is part of the culture?
It became part of the culture. Yeah.
To kill people, to ban people is part of the culture.
It is now part of the culture of South African people. I know that there are many countries whereby we find xenophobia, for example. Like in the case of Angola, we see the case of Congolese. There is this migrant business, but at least some African countries, the police are the ones who take care of them. Like in Angola, I see, like before yesterday I was watching news and thousands of Congolese went back to their countries. But the police are the ones organizing. We didn't kill any Congolese, for example, unless there are cases that we don't know. But in South Africa, why it doesn't happen? There's xenophobia everywhere, but in South Africa it's too much because it is already part of their culture. And I assume, and I repeat again, it is becoming part of their culture because it is now just innovating different manners. That's why it is like it happened strongly last week. It might stop for a while because political leaders are reacting. But you might hear again that in 2 years' time, again, it will happen. It is already part of their culture.
Okay, and what is your last word for those who are listening to us?
Okay, beloved brother and sister, my last word is, first of all, let us be honest with our own selves. And we as Africans have to say the things as they are. We shouldn't hide things. We shall not kill. Violence is not the solution for this xenophobic problem. Of course, there are many implications that I haven't mentioned here because otherwise our discourse could be also very long. But I advise Africans, first of all, to stop being oppressive. You shouldn't oppress our brothers and sisters. And let us not allow also to continue this system of apartheid, of colonial or neo-colonialism, because we are not decolonized. We need to decolonize our minds. We need to decolonize our minds so that after being decolonized, we can actually see what are the elements that we can use to apply in our African context. Because whether we want or not, the colonial masters, they are still actually inflicted in all African problems. And one of them is this xenophobia, or as later I will say, Afrophobia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.